Welcome back to Data to Decisions. In recent videos, we have used the image function to extract data from a web URL into Excel. And in this video, we will see some of the sizing options that are available within the image function. Let's get started. So now there are four different sizing options. Before we get into the sizing options, let's take a look at the formula first for the image function. So the image function, one way to get help about a function in Excel is if you are editing the formula and you see this link available for the function, you can click on it and this will open up the help panel. You can see more information about that function. So here the image function uses the source, which is where the web URL where I can get the image, right? So this is where I'm getting it from the website. And then the second is the alternative text. And alternative text is nothing but you can give a name. For example, if I want to say this is a logo, then I can just say logo, right? And then we have sizing option, which is the focus of this video. There are four different sizing options. So inside the formula bar, when you are, you can, when I put a comma after the alternative text, then it gives me the four sizing options. And the fit cell or the zero option is the default and it will fit according to the cell maintaining the original aspect ratio. So let's put zero. And even if you don't put any number, it'll automatically assume the zero because that's the default. And what happens here is that the aspect ratio, which is the ratio of the height and the width of the image, will be maintained. So you'll see, for example, as I expand, it still maintains that aspect ratio and it doesn't lose, even for example, if I make it very small and you see what happens, it still retains that aspect ratio. This is definitely the recommended option. If your images, you don't want them to be distorted when somebody is expanding the column width or the row height, you still want the image to retain its original aspect ratio, then go with the option 0. Now let's take a look at the second option, which is option 1. In this case, it is the option to fill the cell with the image and ignore the aspect ratio. So this time, I think, this image, the way I've set it up in the column C, it doesn't look very bad, but as I expand or narrow down, in this case, the column width, you will see that Excel is trying to fill the cell with that image. So depending on, if you let the user control uh, the width of the column and the height of the row, you can see that it's getting distorted. So this is definitely not a recommended option in such scenarios. If in case you are locking the column width and the row height, then, for example, let's make a square. I learned this trick today from an online website. If I wanted to make this into a perfect square in Excel, let's say, for example, I do 25 row height and 4 as the column width. This is a perfect square. And how do I know that? So if you go on the left side here, where the row numbers are there, and as I hover over the border between the two rows, and if you click on it, it'll tell you the pixels. So it's 33 pixels. If I go similarly to the column, if I click on the border, it shows me 33 pixels. So it's a square. And so when it's a square, the image fits nicely because my raw image, the source image for this logo is actually a square image. So the size of the width was 500 pixels. The height is also 500 pixels. It's a perfect square image. And so if your Excel cell is also the same square or same aspect ratio, then it works. But otherwise, if you allow the user to modify, then you can see that the image gets distorted. So this option is not recommended if your row height and the cell widths will change, and that will distort your image. Maybe there are some patterns where it's not an image of a pair, or it's more of a pattern that you want to fill the cell and it doesn't distort. Then you can use this option of filling the cell. Now let's go to the third option, which is the number 2. So in the formula, when you go to the sizing option, you will put number 2. Number 2 represents maintaining the original image size, which may exceed the cell boundary. So this one, well, let's zoom out a little of my view here. And I'm going to make the row height, increase the row height. And so now if you look at this option, this actually is a 500 by 500 pixel image. So let's go and check the row height here. You can see that it's 545 pixel. If I go and if I can stop at 500, maybe I can, yeah. So this is 500 pixel. This is also something that we can set at 500 pixel. This is actually the size of the image, the original image, 500 by 500. So it looks nice. But as soon as the user controls or changes the row height, you will lose it completely. So this is recommended only if you want to see the original size of the image and you don't want it to be uniform, or you don't, I mean, you just want the actual original size. That's the only scenario we'll bring in. This is definitely not recommended if you're working with multiple images in a dashboard and all of them are different sizes, and you bring them in, it's not going to look very good. So again, this option, very specific scenarios could be helpful, otherwise not. Now let's go to the last option. The last option is number 3. So in the image formula, so let's go into the function again. We have selected number 3 as the sizing. So 3 means customize the image size by using the height and width arguments. If you put 3 in the sizing argument, you have to give the height and the width. Otherwise, let's say I don't do it, Excel will not give anything back because we've asked Excel to use custom size, which means Excel is expecting us to give the height and the width. So if I give 100 by 100, it will remain 100 by 100 even if I expand, even if I make it narrow, it'll still be 100. So if I make it very narrow, then I don't see the image. So basically, it is exact control for you on the size of the image, right? So these are the 4 different options. Again, they all have their own use case and purpose where they fit. So just to quickly recap, option number 0 is fit the cell. So it'll fit the cell, it will retain the original aspect ratio. Option number 1 is it'll fill the cell ignoring the aspect ratio. It could distort your image. Third option is the original size. And as long as you can control the original size in your image files, this could be an option. Otherwise, just watch out for it. And then the last option is you specifically input the height and the width of your images, and Excel will then follow exactly those dimensions. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have used the image function and done other things, please let me know. I look forward to learning from you. This is something that I've only recently started using, and I'm still learning. So I'm curious to hear some of the scenarios or use cases for how the image function has been useful. I've not been able to still get the image function to work with SharePoint or other places. It works on web URLs, but otherwise it doesn't. Hopefully in future, Microsoft will make this image function to be more dynamic and allow more inputs to be handled. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon in another video.